everyone, this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this little bracelet. Now, the way that I have it, it's more Christmas looking with the colors that I've chosen, but this bracelet can be themed in any color scheming you like. I made a little mini one for my initial design, and this is with 6mm beads, and you can see it's just as pretty with any color that you want to choose. Doesn't have to be red like this. But this I'm doing in 6x4 ruby red rondelles, and it turns out really Christmassy. It's very easy, fast moving project, and it turns out really pretty. So let's take this off so you can see what it looks like laying out. That's what it looks like, and let's get in a little closer here and I'll show you on the sides what it looks like. So you have this double line of seed beads on either side of the beads, and it's just really pretty. So let's go ahead and see what it takes to make this particular project. Okay, for this project today, you're going to need, I am using 6x4 Rondelle in the ruby color. Now, you can use, with this particular project, you can use a 6x4 or a 6x5 Rondelle. You can also use a 6mm round. This is what it looks like with a 6mm round. I made a little mini one so I could devise my endings, but this is what it looks like with a 6mm round. You could probably even get away with using these faceted pentagon beads. They're either 5x5x5 or 6x6x6. Somewhere in there, they vary. So these should work also if you wanted to try something like that, or maybe a 6mm round glass pearl. So you can use a lot of stuff with this. Like I said, I am using a 6x4 ruby red rondelle today. Then you're going to need some 11/0 seed beads, and I am using the galvanized permanent finish Starlight for mine today in my 11/0. Then you'll need just a couple of 8/0s for the clasping, and I decided that I'm just to be able to distinguish it better. When I'm beading, I'm going to use an 8/0 that is the galvanized permanent finish aluminum. And then I am going to use a toggle clasp. So you can use any clasping you'd like, but this is what I'm going to use today. And then I'm going to use 6-pound Fireline, and this is in the smoke color, simply because it blends better and you can see it less with the colors I'm using and this particular stitch. So I'm going to use smoke Fireline today. I'm going to put onto my needle about 4 or 5 feet, closer to 5, and I'm using a size 12 beading needle. So go ahead and thread your beading needle. You will need to extend your Fireline during this project. There will be a video in the information or in the description box beneath the video player, a link to a video that will show you how to do that if you do not know how. So let's go ahead and get started with this particular project. Okay, to start this project, pick up 6 11/0 seed beads and then bring them down to the end of your thread. You don't have to leave a long tail, but you need to leave enough to hold on to, and then you're going to go from the tail side up through the first 3 beads on your thread and hold on to those beads, hold on to the tail, and pull your thread through until the second set of beads lays on top of the first set of beads like this. And then just go back into the second set. So you're coming out of the first set, go directly down into the second set like this. Hold on to your beads, hold on to your tail still, and just pull your thread through. And then once you've gone through those, go back up through the first set from the tail side here, right up through those beads, hold on to them, pull your thread through, and tighten. And this is what you should have, just like this. Then we're going to go into the second set, the set next to the one we're coming out of again. Pull our thread through, give a little tug, make sure everything's nice and neat, and then pick up 3 more 11/0 seed beads. And then drop them down, or drop them down. You don't have to drop them down if you don't want to. Just go into the set that you're coming out of on the opposite side, just like this. And then pull your thread through. Like this. Go back up that set that you just put on. Tighten everything up, make sure it looks good, and then let's clip this tail down just a little bit to get it out of our way. So you should just have 3 columns of beads like this now. And then we are going to now, let me untangle my thread. I just set the scissors on it and tangled it up. Now we're going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead and an 8/0 seed bead, drop it down to this little piece that we've created, like this. Pick up your clasp, go through the loop on the clasp, and just bring it down to your piece. Now, you don't have to get it real close, just lay it somewhere in there, and then go back into just the 8/0 seed bead. So I'm going through the 8/0, then I'm going to hold on to that 8/0 and my piece, and pull my thread through until I can draw the clasp up to that 8/0. Everything is nice and tight, there's no slack. Then I'm going to pick up another 11/0 seed bead, and I'm going to go into this column now. So I'm skipping the middle column. I am coming out of this column, skip this one, go into this one with 11/0 on my needle. And then I'm going to go through all 3 of these beads on this side and pull this down. Just like that. Now I am going to travel up the center set, or actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to pick up 4 11/0 seed beads onto my needle and a rondelle and drop this down. Just like that. Then I am going to go back into the column I'm coming out of, right here. So I'm going to go back into all 4 of these beads, and then I'm going to go into the 8/0 and my clasp, just like this. It gets you a little closer, and I'm going to pull my thread through. Should have something that looks like this. Now I'm going to go around it into this 8/0 here, just the 8/0. I am then going to go, I'm going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead, and you can see right here between this 8/0 and this center set of 11/0s, there's a little gap. You're going to pick up an 11/0, and you're going to travel down all through all 3 of those seed beads in that middle column and pull this down. Now you should have something that looks like this. It's got like a little opening in the back, and then this third set is kind of prominent and sticking up on the front here. Now you're going to pick up 3 11/0 seed beads onto your needle. And you're going to go into this very last seed bead on top of the rondelle. So you're going to skip these 3 here and go into this one right here and pull this down. My beads want to twist. See if I can untwist them. And just pull this straight down. So it wraps around the rondelle like this. And now, just to make sure that this rondelle is nice and secure, you're going to go back into the rondelle, and then you're going to go into this set of 11/0s right where the hole of that rondelle is. Go back up through all 4 of those 11/0 seed beads right there. Pull everything nice and tight. and then go up into the 8-0, back down around the clasp, and you should have something that looks like this. Now go directly down into the 8-0, and we're going to go through this long set of 11 O's until we come out of this top bead here. So we're going to go straight down into the 8-0, and you can go through either set of the long ones here. And I think I'm going to select to go through the one that's a little messier to straighten it up. So I'm just going to come through this 8-0 right here. And then I'm going to travel down all of these 11 O's here. It doesn't matter which long set you go through, just go through one of them all the way down, all of them. And then I'm going to go into this last bead right on top of the rondelle. And now our clasp is secure and we're set up to start our bracelet. So this is what this should look like. And now you're coming out of this 11-0 seed bead right here. Let me back off just a little bit. And you're going to pick up 4 11-0 seed beads onto your needle and a rondelle or 6mm round, whatever you're using, and drop this down. It should come right up to the edge of that 11-0 you're coming out of. Then you're going to go into the opposite side of that 11-0. Just that 11-0. And this will bring your bead up and around, just like this. Now we're going to sew back through this and come back through this 11-0 again. So I'm coming out of the 11-0. I'm going to go through all 4 of these 11-0s right here. Hold on to it. And then I'm going to go back into my 11-0 here. And then I'm going to go into the 11-0 I started in. So just the 11-0 right underneath that first rondelle there. Just like that. Now you're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads onto your needle. And then you're going to come through the 4th 11-0 underneath the rondelle here, and just that bead. Pull these down and line them up. Give them a nice little tug. Line everything up. Don't pull it so hard that you pull your rondelle loose from the other, just enough to where you have no slack, just like this. Now you're coming out of this 11-0 seed bead right here. You're going to pick up 4 11-0 seed beads and a rondelle. You're going to drop it down to your piece, just like this. And then you're going to go back into the 11-0 you're coming out of on the opposite side, just like that. Pull this up. And this is what you should have. Now you're going to sew back through the entire thing and come back through the 11-0 you're coming out of. So we're going to go through all 4 of these 11-0s here. I'm holding on to my piece. I know you can't see it, but this way I can tighten things up, and then I can go back into this rondelle right here. Hold on to your piece, pull your thread through, and then go into that 11-0 that you started in on the opposite side, just like this. So the 11-0 right underneath the original that you're attaching to, or right underneath the previous bead. That makes more sense. And then pick up 3 11 seed beads and come into the fourth 11, the one right underneath the rondelle, just like this. Pull those 4 down nice and tight. And now you can see that I have a double layer of 11s around each side of my little beads, my little rondelles. Then you're going to pick up 4 more, and it's very repetitious from this point. 4 11 seed beads, then pick up a rondelle. Then go into the opposite side of the bead you're coming out of, just like this. Pull your thread through, and then sew through the beads that you just put on. So go through all 4 of these 11 seed beads. If you can't get them all at once, that's fine. Just go through 2 or 3, pick up where you left off, and then go back up through the rondelle. And then back through that 11 underneath the previous rondelle. And this is what you should have. Now that you're coming out of this bead, you then pick up 3 11 seed beads and you come through the bottom bead. Just like that. Let's do it again. Pick up 4 11 seed beads and a rondelle. Go into the opposite side of the bead that your thread is coming out of. Pull it all down, tighten it up, make sure your previous embellishment is nice and neat, and then sew back through. So go through these 3. I cannot talk today. I'm going through all 4 of those beads, the one coming out of the bottom, and then I'm going to go back into the rondelle here. And then I'm going to go back into the bead that I am attaching to, so the bead right underneath the previous rondelle, and pull. Then I'm going to pick up 3 11 seed beads, and I'm going to go into this bottom 11 right here, the one right underneath the rondelle. So you're just skipping, you're coming out one of your beads, you're skipping 3, and then you're going through the bottom bead, just like that. Let's do one more. So let's pick up 4 11 seed beads onto our needle and a rondelle. Drop it down, then go back into the opposite side of the bead you're coming out of, right here. Pull this all down, and then sew back through the beads you just put on. Make sure you have nice tension on it, so as you go through, just give a little tug on your thread and then come back up through the rondelle here. And then back through the bead you're attaching to on the opposite side from which you started, just like this. And then pick up 3 11 seed beads and go through the very bottom 11, the one on the bottom of your rondelle there. And pull this down. And this is what it should look like so far. And then you're just going to continue doing this stitch until you have 25 units. So I'm counting each bead as a unit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 25. Now, that depends on the length of bracelet that you want and the size of your clasping. So you'll measure from the middle of your clasp to the end of your bracelet. You can see I have 7 inches. And from the middle of my toggle to the end here, it's a little over a 1/2 inch. So I know that I need to leave myself a 1/2 inch short of the length I want to make my clasping. So that will give you a guide on how many units you want. So if you want to make a small bracelet, then you can do less. If you want to make a bigger bracelet, you can do more. So now we are going to finish off the end here. So let's get in close. We're coming out of the top bead on top of the rondelle after putting on the 3 beads here. So just making a full unit, and then we're going to pick up 6 11/0 seed beads onto our needle and drop them down to the piece, just like this. Then we are going to hold on to the first 3 and go back through them. So all 3 of these beads, see if I can arrange my hands here, right here, and just 3 beads. Pull your needle through, and then these are going to lay like this. Scoot this down to your piece. Just pull it all the way down, just like that. And this is what you should have. Then just go into the second set. So you're coming out of this set, you're going to go into this set of 3 right here. Pull your needle through, and then go back into the first set that you have on your piece here, just like this. Scoot it back down to your bracelet, to the last bead there. Try to keep it as close as you can, because once you go make that second unit, it's hard to scoot it back down. And then pick up 3 more 11/0 seed beads. And now we're going to go on this side. So we put it one on this side of the center set. Now we're going to go on this side. We're going to go into the opposite side from which our thread is coming out, and go through all 3 of these beads right here, just like this, and bring this down. Now we're going to go into the set next to the center set here. So you'll want to go into the set that is kind of centered over your bead. See if I can get in this set here. Sometimes they'll be laying kind of weird, so you have to go through 2 and then pick up the 3rd one, like this. And this is what you should have. Now you're going to go down into that rondelle, because you're right above it. Go down into the rondelle. Now you have to sew back through the rondelle and up through these beads that go around it. So the bead that you've attached to right here, the one that we usually go through as we're putting on our second set of beads and making our next unit, you're going to go through that attaching bead. And then you're going to go through this set of your 11/0. So you've got a set here, you're coming out of the rondelle, or the 11/0 here, you're going to go into the far set right here, and then pull your thread through, and then pick up an 11/0 seed bead and go through this side set here. So the one next to the center set of 11/0s there, pull this up. Now this is what you should have. So it looks like this. Go through all 3 of those beads. I didn't get through all 3. There we go. Now you're attached like this. Pick up an 11-0 and an 8-0 and drop them down to your piece. Then pick up your clasp. Let me get centered here. Go through your clasp and then go through the 8-0 seed bead and just the 8-0. Hold on to it, pull your thread down until your clasp comes down in alignment with the rest of the beads. Let's get a little bit closer. Pick up an 11-0. And now we're going to skip this middle set and go into this set with an 11-0 on our needle. So we're going to go into here. And go through all 3 beads, just like this. So you have something that looks like this. Now, you're going to go down into the rondelle, here. And then we're going to go into that 11-0 again, the one we've attached to, right here, one between the beads. Pull everything tight. Now we're going to travel back up these beads. So you can travel up either one. And since this side is a little messier, I'm going to travel up through this one. So either one of the long line of 11-0s here, we're going to go back up through all of them. Actually, yes, you want to travel up that one. That's a little shorter than this one. Make sure you travel up that one. And then pick up an 11-0. And go, so it would be your center set basically. And go into the 8-0 and the clasp. Just like this. So there's a little gap there. We're filling it in. Just like that. And then we're going to go back into the 8-0. And we're going to travel back down all of these beads on this side. Either one is fine. If one's messier than the other, travel down it to straighten it out. We're going to go down all of these. Back into that connecting bead. And then we're going to go back up into the rondelle again. And we're going to go into this short set right above the rondelle just to secure it right here. And you'll see when this is in your hand, you can see what needs to be done. And you just, it's harder in my hands because, of course, you can't see as well as I can. So I'm coming up through the 8-0 here and through the clasp now that I've traveled through that short set of 11-0s. This will give me another pass of thread through my clasping. I'm going to come back down through that 8-0. And then I'm going to go back down that short set and through my rondelle right here. Now I'm completely secured. If you need to, you can always go through and do it a couple more times. Make sure it's nice and neat. Make sure it's secure. And now I'm going to go through this connecting bead one more time. That's why you need a small thread. You should go through that quite a bit. Then I'm going to go through this rondelle here. And then I'm going to go into the attaching bead between the two of them here. And through the rondelle again. And then back through the attaching bead. We'll go down one more and then we'll tie a knot. Go into this one here. And you can sew all the way through the whole thing if you want. If you have enough thread and you feel like you want to secure it, you can do this as many times as you want. Now I am coming out of this 11-0 seed bead right here. I think I will go ahead and go through Oh, no. Let's just go around the thread. I'm going to get you really close. Oops, too close. Okay, so I'm coming out of the 11-0 right there. See this little piece of thread that goes from the rondelle, from the 11-0 to the rondelle? I'm going underneath it. Make a loop, tie a knot, and it should go right on that thread, right above that rondelle, and then I can sew into the rondelle, and then into the next attaching bead, and do that again. So I will take my needle underneath this piece of thread that goes from the 11-0 into the rondelle, pull a little circle, go through it, pull a knot down between my beads, and then go into the rondelle. And you can do that as many times as you want. I'm just going to come out of this bead here, so I went down into the rondelle, going into the next attaching bead there. See if I mangled everything. Then I'm just going to cut my thread and just kind of get the heat close and roll that thread in like that. And now I have a bracelet. It looks like it could be a little long, so I am going to measure this just so you'll have reference. So from the middle of my toggle here, no, I have about a 7.5-inch bracelet, which is what I was shooting for, so that's pretty good. And let's see how well it fits here. Oh, fits nice. This is what it looks like. So this is what the clasping looks like right here. And that's what the entire thing looks like. I think it turns out really pretty. The only part that's a little bit more than very simple beginners is the clasping. And it's not hard, it's just a little bit more complicated than the rest of the bracelet. So just want to take your time, watch the video a couple times if you need to, or just look at it and as you're doing it, and you can see where you need to go in and out and secure that. So this is what this looks like, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that we can continue making stuff together. Bye-bye.